Welcome to the very first episode of the Hack and Slash Loot Repeat podcast. Hack slash Loot Repeat is a Discord community dedicated to action RPGs and other hack and slash or looter games. And today we have some great content creators that generally focus on these genres, and we will talk about our experiences with these genres and why we love them so much.
Yeah, so if you guys aren't aware of these creators already, you can find them with their same name, just searching them on YouTube. And we're going to start just with small introductions of everybody here, starting with Robin, the manager of the Hack slash Loot Repeat Discord. If you want to go, just explain how long you've been an action RPG fan and anything else that you want to tell about yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I started this Discord community server like maybe 1 year, 1.5 years ago. Due to the fact that I'm a big fan of the action RPG genre
Hmm.
and RPG genres in general. And I felt that there was no like big server community for all the games because
Hmm.
I've been in search for other communities and stuff like that for the genre, but there was always like this is a big community for this game or this is a big community for this game and so on. So I decided that I would just start my own for all the games in one place, so it can be the best place to be for all things action RPGs and RPGs in general, really, or hack and slash for that matter, because I'm also a big fan of that, like most of us are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Uh,
big genre. There's a lot.
yeah, there's a lot of cover, really, to be fair, and so yeah, so like almost 2 years ago I started this, and it was very small in the beginning, and I shared it across different platforms and invited people, and to get it going.
Awesome.
Um, and yeah, and here we are, like 18 months later or something like that, and we have 1K members now. And
Yeah, it's booming.
yeah, it's going quite good, I would say. We have a lot of you know good people in there, content creators or streamers
Developers too, which is the really cool
and
part.
developers. Yeah, the cool part about it is like developers are actually there, and developers are actually coming and going because they can't usually stay for some reason, so they're actually coming and going, and then they actually messaged me as well with like information or
Nice.
so on for actually how should I say, to work together for some things. So yeah, it's been really nice to have it to have it keep going because it's really fun and you get a lot back from it because I made a lot
Hmm.
of friends and I've been introduced to a lot of other games and good content creators, stuff like that. So it's been really really great, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's definitely a great community in there.
Yeah, it's been going up and down, really, to be fair, though, to be honest, because yeah, we had some issues with people coming and
Spam bots and stuff.
yeah, we
Oh
also
yeah.
had people coming to scam people. They're joining and then they're sharing links and then they message the member list from up to down and they're messaging them with links and click this and click that and trying to scam.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it
we had a
happens
little
with Discord
problem with
servers,
that.
huh?
Yeah,
Nice.
and then we had a lot of other problems with people coming in and being quite rude. But yeah, that's
Got a moderator
how
team
it
for
goes.
that. Awesome.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, and I'm Smattymatty here. I've been making content on action RPGs for like around like 2 years, seriously. Before that, or just like random Minecraft stuff. But yeah, I've been an action RPG fan for like a very long time since I was like I want to say like 10 or 11. We'll get into like the first ones that I started with later during this podcast. But one of my favorite genres for sure, and one of my favorite parts is the community around it. Like Robin said, a lot of the times like the bigger games, for example, Path of Exile, there's like 8 different Path of Exile podcasts, different Path of Exile communities, but there's not really big communities for like every single game out there, which is where like this podcast and where this community comes in. Yeah, it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm Vulcan.
Hey.
How's
Yeah.
it going? And so a little bit about me. Been doing content creation for 3 years, and really, kind of the reason I started that whole thing was same thing as Robin, right? Wanting to form a community of
Mhm.
like like-minded gamers, and I didn't have like a lot of my friends had kind of moved on, right? So I was like, I needed some people to actually play some games with that
Yeah.
aren't just randos and matchmaking. So I started creating some content and met some obviously wonderful people, especially the other content creators we see here. So yeah, it's been great. And like Smatty said, we'll be getting into some other really cool in-depth stuff in the action RPG genre. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. What about you, Thyworm?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Thyworm. I am 36 years old. I'm Dutch, and I've been doing content for 7.5 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started, and I started much earlier. Not even with games. I reviewed movies before
Oh, okay.
for a web magazine in the Netherlands. And before that, I recommended all sorts of movies to my friends. So I was just a guy who watched an awful lot of movies. Yeah, like 10 movies a week or something crazy like that.
Shit.
And at some point, everybody started asking me like, "Hey, have you seen a good movie lately?" And the answer was always yes, right? Because if you watch 10 movies a week, there's bound to be one good of them, right? So
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I actually got so. And then I started sort of a mailing list with like recommendation, which turned into like a small, almost a small magazine, if you will, like a Word file with several pages with
Hmm.
just me reviewing movies. That turned into a website, and this is I think around 15 years ago. It turned into a website, and then that got me into like well, more content creation,
Yeah.
you could say, right? Just putting yourself out there and being creative, which I've done in many parts of my life. I've been a musician for a part of my life, and I've been doing a lot of shows and weddings and gigs and all that sort of things.
Oh, that's
So I'm a pretty creative person at heart, I think. And 7.5 years ago or something like that, I started the YouTube channel because I watched a lot of Skyrim
Mhm.
mod creators. Skyrim mods was a big thing back then. It still is, by the way. And there was two guys that really got me into it. Gopher, which you may know, he's still pretty large actually, and MXR, who is
Mhm.
like a total idiot. But these movies are amazing, right? It's just super funny. And these days he went even a little bit more out of line than let's say 7 or 8 years ago when he started. But yeah, that got me into it, and I've been playing mostly Skyrim back in the day, and I made Skyrim mod movies as well, and it crossed over to more ARPGs later down the line, and yeah, that's I guess a little bit how I got into the whole thing. So I started my first ARPG in that sense. I started playing like I don't know, also probably 20, 25 years ago or something.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Nice,
something
that's
like that.
awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I'm Idodmg. I started streaming on Twitch about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I believe it was. And really what made me want to start doing YouTube videos was I had a viewer, Sentinel. He actually was like, dude, you play all these random, indie games. Why not, make some review videos on them and tell people what they're about? And so that's kind of what I started doing. And one of my buddies had been begging me to stream for like years prior. And I finally, with kids and stuff, my kids finally were a little bit older. I could finally start streaming. And really, I mean, without that dude recommending that I even make a YouTube video, reviewing a game, I probably wouldn't have never even really tried it. But it's kind of cool because kind of pigging back off what Thyworm said with videos and video recommendations from friends. I've always had friends like will message me and they'll say, "What do you think about this game? I see you're playing this. What do you think? Should I pick it up?" And now I can say, "Yeah, here's a video. Go check it out." I feel like kind of rude doing that. Like, watch my video, but you know what I mean. It's like it's nice to have that
Mhm.
archive of resources for people to use. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I do the same thing actually. I feel bad self-promoting, but yeah, I think a video says more than like a two-line text.
right,
Yeah, exactly.
just sit there and
Yeah,
try to
for
explain
sure.
it to them for 10 minutes. Like, just watch this video.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
can
Awesome.
play,
exactly.
see it, everything.
Awesome. So yeah, we're pretty much here. Like, with the podcast is to talk about our experiences with action RPGs, pretty much the past, what we used to do, the present, what we're currently doing, and the future, what we're excited about. Starting with what was the very first action RPG that made us fall in love with the genre? Want to start with you, Robin?
Yeah, so it goes back a long time. So, back when I was a little kid, my uncle actually got me into action RPGs. I was like, what could I have been? 6, 7, 8 or something like that. I was a really small kid.
Mhm.
So he showed me Diablo 1 back then on an old PC. And after that, I was kind of hooked, to be honest. So, and from there, after that, Diablo 2 got released.
Mhm.
So I just went on with that. And I played with him a lot. He showed me a lot of games, both action RPGs and other things like first-person shooters as well, and all of that stuff. So he quite showed me how to game.
Nice.
But yeah, Diablo 1 is probably the one that made me fall in love with the genre, and it's actually one of my favorites still today.
Still
to be
today,
honest.
wow. Awesome.
Yeah, I play it like modded, you know.
Yeah,
so I mod
it's a
it a lot.
classic
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So it's Diablo 1 for me for sure.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because for me, when I was about like 6 or 7-ish too, we had a Diablo 1 demo disc, but I was too young to really know what was going on there. I wasn't really into video games that much. The very first one that I fell in love with was actually Sacred 2 for the Xbox 360. I played that
wow.
so much, yeah. It was before I had a computer, and I just fell in love with the like the whole progression. You're going from like 0 to hero. That's kind of like the big thing that got me really hooked. And like the quest progressions in that, there's like this side quest where you go to like a completely different continent and you do all this random stuff you'd never think of, and you get this awesome mount for it. And I was just able to show my friends like, dude, look at this mount I got.
Okay.
And no one knew. It was awesome. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. What about you, Vulcan?
Surprisingly, it was Sacred 1.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah.
Oh.
So, that was the first one I picked up, and I don't even remember how I got it. I don't remember if I picked it up at like, like a game exchange we have local, or if my uncle he had this like real bad habit of buying, whether it was game consoles or computer games or whatever, and then never playing them and then just giving them to like me or whoever else. He's like, hey, I found these, there you go. So I don't know if it came with that, but I remember the first time I fired it up, and it was really cool because at that point it had been like shooters and things like that I played on console, and then on my PlayStation, and then Sacred, and it was just a totally different experience, right? Kind of the same
Mhm.
thing you're talking about, Smatty, where you go from 0 to hero.
Mm.
You start out with nothing, and all of a sudden you have something. And I still remember like my first like set piece drop and legendary drop, and it was just such an exciting experience because it was like, oh my gosh, what is this thing?
Mhm.
So yeah, Sacred, 100%. I still go back every now and then and play like the gold edition or whatever they have on Steam these days, but just relive the glory days. But Sacred 1 for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I need to go back and play Sacred 2. I haven't in such a long time. Wonder if
Oh,
I'd
I
still like
play
it.
it. Yeah,
I
I play
forgot
it
about
as
that
well
game.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great underrated game for
Awesome.
sure.
How about
Yeah.
you, Thyworm? What is the one that made you fall in love with the genre?
Yeah, probably Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Although I played Diablo 1 quite a bit because I'm that age, I suppose. But Diablo 2 really, yeah, I don't know. It just got something, right? I
Mhm.
must have run like hundreds or thousands secret cow levels with my barbarian just to try and reach level 97, right? And
Nice.
it was pretty much impossible because you had to grind for like 2 days straight in order to raise a level at that point. So it was kind of like PoE in that sense. And yeah, that was mostly a thing, and I just remember talking to other people about that game, and that was kind of a first because before that I did that as well, but not for ARPGs, more for RPGs. Like I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy series, for example, so I played all of those, and but then it's not, yeah, that's not really an ARPG, right? That's more about the story and the characters, and
Mhm.
still the weapons that you find are like Square, they hit all sorts of GF everywhere, right? So you still had to find them and get guides and whatnot. But the ARPGs, probably Diablo. Um, I suppose that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Diablo 2 was definitely like a whole genre-defining thing when it came out. Very big
Mhm.
game. How about you,
Yeah.
Idodmg? What's up?
My first game was action RPG hack and slash. Would have been Baldur's Gate 2: Dark Alliance on PlayStation 2.
Oh,
I just
wow.
remember it had local co-op and stuff on there, and I just all my buddies were like, just thought I was a huge nerd, but I freaking loved it, man. I remember staying up to like 3 a.m. and having a skeleton come out of nowhere and just scare the bejesus out of me, like just knowing I got to go to school the next morning and stuff. And I guess that's and I think that came out in '04, so. But it's funny that you brought up Sacred 2 Gold Edition or whatever. I totally forgot about that game. I love that game as well.
Yeah, it's still there. It still runs on Steam. I'm pretty sure. I think I have it in my library. I play it every now
Yeah.
and then.
I'm
Yeah, I
gonna
Nice.
play
play
it
it as
after
well,
this then,
Sacred
dude.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely need
I
to go
remember.
back one day.
As usual, I played modded as well these days, Sacred 2. Like, I played a Diablo 2 mod, funny enough. But there's a lot of mods for Sacred 2 that is pretty good these days on
I'll have to
Steam.
check that out then.
Yeah,
sure.
it's really good, actually. You should really check it out.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's great. So yeah, anything else, Vulcan? Do you have something to say? I think I cut you off there for a second.
No,
Okay,
nope,
cool,
nothing
cool.
else. So yeah, okay, thank you though.
No problem.
But speaking of like action RPGs and what we've been up to recently, like, is there any game that you? So, what is the game that you played the most recently? Like, is there any game that got you hooked, or like you play a lot these days?
Path of Exile.
Path of
Way
Exile.
too much.
Oh yeah, I heard a lot about the latest season and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, how are you enjoying that latest season, Thyworm?
Yeah, it's great. But I was enjoying the previous one too, where
Yeah.
everybody was complaining, and I get it. But it wasn't all that bad. I mean, it's like hearing Amy Winehouse sing drunk, right? She's still better than 95% of other singers. But yeah, now she's drunk, so people are complaining, right? But it's still Amy Winehouse. Like, you can't beat that voice, right?
That's a really good
And I
metaphor.
feel the same way about PoE,
Yeah.
right? You can't beat PoE when it comes to an ARPG. I mean, it's pretty much impossible. You can like it or dislike it, that's fine. But in terms of what you can do in the game and what it offers and how much effort and content has been put into it over the years, yeah, I don't know. I'm playing already for 2.5 weeks straight, trying to farm for my headhunter.
Oh,
And yeah, I got 3 out of 8 doctor cards, so it's kind of like, yeah, we're like almost halfway there. Like 2 more weeks, I think. But no, I'm enjoying it a lot. The new league mechanic is amazing. It's super fun. You can basically activate that scourge mechanic it just creates like a new map entirely on top of your own map with a whole different realm of monsters you need to slay. And they give insane bonuses. They get insanely strong. So you need a good build to do it. It's got all the good hallmarks of PoE, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my current game. It has been for the last 1.5 years, and it's partly the reason that I'm not releasing any content around League launch, right?
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I've been also playing quite a bit of PoE this season too, and yeah, I kind of mirror what you're saying. This new season mechanic's been a ton of fun. I switched. I usually do solo self-found, but I found myself getting pretty like hitting the wall, getting frustrated. So this league, I went to trade league, doing a lot better now. But the other game that I've been splitting my time with is Grim Dawn. With this mod, Night DMR is. I've been playing this so much. It's like this full-blown campaign overhaul mod, and it's like this is the creativity that comes out of it because there's so many of these new dungeons and there's this new like mini game where you capture monsters and you make them fight against each other, which is something I never thought I'd see in an action RPG. It's a
Oh,
bit
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
it's pretty
Like pet
clunky.
battles?
Like what? Sorry?
Like pet battles in World of Warcraft,
Yeah,
basically?
pretty much. You get like a menu of like different monsters you fight. There's different tiers, and you can capture bosses and make them fight each other. It's pretty sick. A tiny little bit clunky is my big thing about it, but it's a mod, right? Made by one guy, so yeah, I can look past that for sure because this thing just oozes creativity and fun.
Yeah, I
Have you-
played it too, but I never got into it properly, sadly. So yeah.
I think the problem is that there's not much like content out there on it because a lot of the things it's really hard to understand. It's the type of thing that you would go look up a video to see, which I'm hopefully gonna be making some content on that very soon.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's good stuff.
It's super in depth. Have you played any of the leagues that the community has created?
I played the first two. I didn't play that much. I'm not really too into the vanilla game's awesome, but I do prefer playing the mods. I saw the next one coming up on November 20th. Definitely will give it a try. I'll see how far I go with that because it looks like they added like new bosses and everything. So it looks like they're going really in depth with that.
Yeah,
so
I
exciting.
played the first league, and it was, it was good for what it was.
Mhm.
But I've been keeping an eye on it, and it looks like they're just getting more and more and more in depth and adding more onto it, which is good. Because I mean, it's one of those things, you play through Grim Dawn and you beat it, you can only get so much out of it, right?
Mhm.
So being able to add
Yeah.
some different new content to it
Exactly.
is awesome
Yeah, and also that
So-
idea of like the ladder and racing and all that adds like a lot of nuance to the game.
for sure.
Yeah.
I've been obviously channels focused a lot on New World, so I've been playing that. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but also Lost Ark beta has been consuming a ton of my time since over the past couple days. So that's been a pretty big focus as well. But another one that I always go back to probably once a month is Chronicon.
Love that.
Just Yeah, just one of those you can just kind of just kick back and play and have a really good time, and it's just I just think it's such a well put together game,
Mhm.
especially for a solo dev. So it's always one that I always go back to.
It's
Totally
amazing
agree.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll get into it later, but I'm so excited for the DLC they're gonna get into.
I know. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. So pumped.
What about you,
Yeah,
ID Damage?
I've been playing a lot of not a lot. I've just played a little bit of the Lost Ark beta. I don't want to get burnt out before the game comes out, but yeah, I did like the first 5-man dungeon on there, and yeah, I can see myself digging it because I love MMOs as well. But the game I always go back to is Last Epoch,
Mm-hmm.
and the new Druid form looks really sick, dude. I can't wait till they release it.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Looks so fun. The hives.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Last Epoch's got me excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. They definitely know what they're doing with that game. Those guys are very passionate.
Yeah, they are a really great team, and it's a great game so far as well. And it's just getting better and better, I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every update for sure.
Yeah, and the new things they're teasing and showing, it's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone jumped in and played Kill Squad since it went into release?
Yeah, quite a bit.
But
Yeah,
Actually, no.
Yeah,
that game
Yeah.
kind of flew past my radar.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's
super fun.
Yeah, it is super fun,
Yeah.
especially you get some friends together, or even just in a party of match-made players. But it's a blast, just for what it is, right? But yeah, the action is just so well done.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
definitely.
a great game. Really good game, I think. And also very passionate developers. The guys making it, guys and girls from Novarama. Like,
yeah, I saw it.
big recommend.
I saw it came out of early access, and I was like, oh, I played it so much in early access. I don't know if it's really improved that much to justify getting back into, but perhaps one day.
Yeah, I'd say it really depends on when you played, right? Because I played a lot really early on.
Same.
Yeah, and they've added a ton to it. The contract system got overhauled, the skills got overhauled, so you don't really unlock them as you go. You have like a skill tree now that you fill out that then becomes available as you play through the mission. That way you don't have to like make decisions on the fly. They got rid of like the MOBA aspect of it.
Okay.
But yeah, boss battles, itemization, all that stuff just kind of really came together, and there's more per level now of stuff you can find, which is also cool.
Yeah.
Seems really good, actually.
Resistances and weaknesses, right?
Yeah, they really address the weaknesses, I think. And the levels are a bit more compact as well. They don't take as long anymore. Apart from some escort missions that still take ages, but
Yeah, we
it's
all
also
love
because
those.
the escort vehicle for some reason moves like a snail's pace. Like, what are these guys doing? Guys, please
Oh,
speed up this.
man.
But that's the only mission that doesn't really flow, I suppose. But the rest is it's great.
All right, I'll add it to the list with Sacred Tube mods and Kill Squad. There we go.
Yeah,
We'll get my
definitely.
list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
I was looking at
Better.
that. I didn't even think that was an action RPG, but yeah, the way you guys explained that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it actually seems quite good.
Awesome.
I've been playing a lot of I've been playing a lot of the Diablo 2 remaster. That's been taking all my time recently, to be honest. I think
Awesome.
it's a good remaster. So I've been playing a lot of that with friends and other strangers on Battle.net as well.
Yeah.
It's really good. It got a big player base now. Leveling up again and getting all the gear and the graphics, the remaster stuff is really, really on point.
It feels awesome to go switch from the old one to the new one. It's just such
Yeah,
a
I do that a
yeah.
lot. Yeah. As I go, yeah. Just with the keybind. It's great fun.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Diablo 2 remastered, because action RPGs, they're pretty much notorious for having like just so many different play styles. Like, what are you currently playing on Diablo 2 remastered? What kind of play style?
So I'm playing a lot of stuff because I'm a big Diablo fan. So I play I think I have level 70 plus on each one now. So like a paladin, Sork, and so on. But my favorite so far is probably my paladin. So I have a sealer going in. It's quite fun.
Awesome.
But I do like my Sork as well. I have a nice Sork. It's quite fun. But
Pretty cool.
it's great fun. Especially with friends on Battle.net and stuff. Solo, it's okay, but it's better with friends or with people on Battle.net.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And for like action RPG play styles, for me, when we're talking about like what our favorite play styles are, I love the spin to win builds. It's kind of like
Oh,
kind of like a
yes.
meme because it's like all I upload. But yeah, just holding right click, spinning through the map. That's my favorite way to play. I usually go with melee, even in the games where melee is kind of not that great. I like to challenge myself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love spin to win as well.
Mhm.
It's great.
For me, it's got to be summoner or
Yeah.
totems. Those are just I don't know. I've always been a big summoner person. No matter what action RPG it is, if they have a summoner playstyle, always go through and play that one first. And then usually second is totems if they have it. If not, some other ranged class. And that's kind of like my thing is every time I play a game, my Discord community always gives me a hard time. Like, okay, so what range character are you playing now? And blah blah blah. Are you ever going to play a melee character? So it's always a good time. They hang a lot of crap on me, which is great.
What happens?
That's what it's about.
Yeah. What about you? I do damage. What's your favorite play style in action RPGs?
I usually go for the summoner styles first. If not a range class, like I said, I like to play MMOs as well, and I always gravitate to range classes on there. Just try to nail down that rotation and stuff. But like Last Epoch, like you mentioned, the spin to win builds. There's so many different synergies
Yeah.
and just things that you can do with that, and with summons, and then I just love Last Epoch, man. Yeah, usually for me it's summoner or range classes for sure.
Awesome. What about you, Thyworm?
Yeah, I think for me it depends a little bit on the game. So Last Epoch is pretty well balanced overall, I would say. So in Last Epoch, I really like what feels good to play in terms of like the movement and the sort of the combat that they have. And I think the rogue wins hands down there from any other class because it was introduced relatively recently and they put a lot of effort in it and it just feels so smooth to play. So I really like the rogue, like the bow and the blade dancer. Both of them is completely fine with me. And in PoE, it depends on the league.
Mm-hmm.
So this league, you need a lot of AoE and a lot of speed. So I'm playing a ranger toxic rain. But last league, you have to be very tanky. So I play a summoner. So you can just stand back and watch your summons do the work. So I'm a little flexible. I don't have a preferred playstyle myself. I'm fine with all of them in that sense. Melee, range, summoners, totems if you have them, right? Indeed, it's all fun. So I make it depend a little bit on what I want to achieve with the build, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Speaking of Epoch there, like I watched your videos on the summoner builds on your channel, Thyworm. It's pretty good because I like
Thank you.
summoners as well. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, like sorry, like you mentioned, I do damage with the spin to win with Last Epoch. I was looking up videos for that. There's like almost an infinite ways to do a spin to win build in that game. Like that brings up to the next topic. Like, what is the most important like system or mechanic in action RPGs? Because for me, it's customization, which I think Last Epoch just like nails it on the dot with its skill trees and everything.
Oh yeah, I agree for sure, 100% there. Yeah.
Yeah, so if an action RPG doesn't have like a good customization system, it does kind of kill it for me because I hate the feeling of like just playing the same way everyone else is playing. I don't know. I like to be unique. Maybe I'm special, but yeah, very important for me. What are your guys' like favorite mechanics or systems that will make or break a game? Start with you, Robin, if you like.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I agree with you, Smatty. The customization part and the playstyles and stuff like that. But for me, gameplay comes first. It's not that's not a mechanic per se. I understand, but for me, gameplay is always the first thing that I go to.
Yeah, as long as it's like smooth and everything. I think
Yeah,
it makes
gameplay
sense.
for me is like number one. I mean, I don't care about graphics that much, so that's never a thing. But gameplay for sure, and
Awesome.
customization. Yeah, that's for me number one.
Awesome. What about you, Vulcan, if we're going that order?
Loot.
Yeah.
For me, it's the loot. You have to have very interesting top-end loot that you can either build around or synergize around. It's hard to chase the carrot on a stick if there's no carrot. So, looking at games that came out recently, right? Wolcen did not have interesting top-end loot.
I agree, yeah.
Among other things. They're uniques. It wasn't exciting to get one because legendaries or just well-crafted, rares were better. But then you look at other games that do loot really well. You have Path of Exile, you have Last Epoch, Chronicon is another one. I just love the loot in that game. So crafting loot you can build around and being able to have different systems to reward that loot that are fulfilling is, I mean, those go hand in hand. If you don't have fun loot to chase, you have no reason to play the game. And if you don't have interesting things to get that loot, again, you have no reason to play the game.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, to be fair. Yeah.
What about you? I do damage.
For me, it comes down to combat, because what you're doing the whole time that you're hacking and slashing is,
Mhm.
while you're hacking and slashing and you're taking part in the combat systems and mechanics, and there's so much that can take place within combat. You have simply just killing, but then you have, is there energy that you're building up, maybe an ultimate ability, mana that you're micromanaging, energy. The list goes on, and then on top of that, it has to be smooth. I don't want a game that's clunky and frustrating to play, that really severely impacts the fun factor for me and can ruin a game really quick if the combat sucks. But other than that, really the loot and crafting is a secondary thing. But the game has to be fun to play. Pretty
Oh
much.
yeah,
makes sense, yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, game needs like a smooth baseline to make it. Like, it can have the best customization loot in the game. If the game itself sucks, then it's not gonna work, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be
Yeah.
frustrated the whole time you're trying to play and trying
Yeah.
to snap your keyboard in half,
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Gameplay is like number one. Yeah, for sure.
It's a patience exercise.
How about
Yeah.
you? How about you, Thyworm? What's the most important mechanic for you?
Yeah, so I think I would turn it around to what Vulkan said. So I think the loot is actually a means and not an end. And I think the end for me is to play the game, but then to play the game of the parts of the game that are hard to
Mhm.
play. Right. So well, Last Epoch has that to some extent, right, with the corruption system, but it doesn't really change anything, right? In the sense you're doing the same thing, it just becomes a little bit harder, but it's not new
Mhm.
content. And so that's one of my gripes with the game currently. It's also why I'm not really playing it that much anymore. I've got like 1,000 hours into it roughly, and I've just seen the monolith by now, because there's no other reason for me to play. Like, I've beat the bosses, I've played to like 200 corruption, and I'm like, yeah, I could go up to 400, but why? Right? What's the point? So and in PoE, I do find that. Right? They got now the Uber Blight, the Uber whatever they put in. I haven't even seen it yet, right? Because I need a decent build. So now I have a reason to keep farming and get my build up to speed and get that loot and learn more about crafting, just in order to beat more content. And that's for me very important. So not so much the progression of the character itself, more the progression of what you can do with your character.
Awesome. Yeah, with the Last Epoch endgame system, I can see that. Like, the first time I went through it, I thought it was really cool, but I can imagine going through that over and over and over again can get pretty repetitive. I'm excited for the new endgame systems they plan on adding in the future with that, to add some sort of variance, for sure.
The
Yeah,
dungeon.
yeah, exactly. I'm waiting for new content, quote unquote, until I start again, because I did, like Thyworm said, like the same things over and over
Mhm.
again. And it's starting to get to you. Like it will get to you in the end. So I'm just waiting for new stuff before I jump back in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with the dungeon system and how they're going to reward us and incentivize us to do it.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
excited to see it.
But
I mean,
I'm
at
also
least
excited for multiplayer beta as well. The multiplayer stuff
Mhm.
coming up, it's gonna be good.
Legendary items too.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah,
I
definitely
think the
exciting stuff.
the most interesting is the dungeons. I think because it will have randomized stuff in them, right, including the maps. That
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
really need some randomized maps in there, because
I agree.
I can draw every map for you guys in Paint, right?
Right.
It's,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, and so, speaking of system and mechanics from different games, are there any like different genres other than action RPGs that you've been playing a lot of? And are there any like mechanics or systems that you would like to see those bleed out into the action RPG space? I'd like to start with you, Vulcan, because I know you've been playing a lot of New World, right? I don't know if that's the one you'd like to talk about.
Um, yeah. Well, honestly, there's not too much I would pull from New World right
Yeah,
now. Um,
yeah, understandable.
that I think would work well, right?
Mhm.
You know, I like some of the systems that are out there when they're working, but I think that's the big thing, right? When they're working. So, what would I like to see in an action RPG game from a different genre? It's a really good question, and honestly, nothing really comes to mind right now.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of the other stuff that I play, right, outside of action RPGs and MMOs, a lot of like competitive first-person shooters and things like
Gotcha.
that. I don't think any of those would really work too well
We have
in
Path
an
of Exile
action RPG.
Royale, kinda.
Yeah, exactly right. So first-person Path of Exile.
Yeah.
So basically like Quake. But yeah, I would say, yeah, nothing really comes to mind. I'd love to hear from Thyworm and Idodmg to see, what they think too.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this a little bit, and I was like, you could look at some of the ARPGs where they tried this, right, and then see how they did. So you could look at Wolsen, for example, and see like these guys really went all in on the campaign,
Hmm.
pretty much, right, with
Yeah.
cinematics and actual voice acting. So they really tried to give it more cinematic experience. I think that's fair to say. And apart from that, it is just a ARPG. You could say, well, maybe they took the element from like regular RPGs, which tend to have much more cinematics, um, and they took it into the ARPG, and does it work? I think for a game like Wolfen, it was actually fine. I think the campaign was very enjoyable because of that, and of course Diablo had it back in the day. I realized that, but other game like Last Epoch doesn't really have it at all, or PoE. They just don't really focus on that.
Hmm.
Um, so in some cases, I think you could put something in, but in a lot of other cases, it just doesn't really make any sense, right? And it's such an established genre that you're going to see more, I think, variations on existing systems. Like most of the games will have crafting, but everybody has a bit of a different approach to crafting,
Hmm.
right? Last Epoch is still pretty understandable and intuitive, and for Path of Exile, you need to have a bachelor's degree in game theory, right? So it depends a
Yeah.
little bit, but it's still crafting in the end. Yeah, I don't really see like any other genres, and I play a lot of games in that sense, like from racing games to regular RPG. Like I don't really care, but yeah, and all sorts of random indie stuff. But I don't really see too much else either that would really enhance the genre, because it doesn't mean that it will get better,
Hmm.
right? If you put additional elements into it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it becomes a better game. So
That makes
Mhm.
sense. Yeah, for me, because my like other very favorite genre is roguelites, indie roguelites. And I love the idea of like going into a challenge, pretty much almost knowing you're gonna fail the first time, but getting stronger from like your knowledge of the game and also like different little things they throw at you with roguelites. I really like that idea. And I think a game that does it pretty decently is Grim Dawn with its roguelike dungeons, especially with that mod I was just talking about. They go like really hard into that roguelite stuff. It's been a lot of fun with that. That would be my system and mechanic that I'd like to see bleeding out into action RPGs. What about you, Idodmg? Got anything in mind?
Yeah, actually, I have two ideas. The first one's a little bit more of a serious idea, and the second one's kind of silly that you'll probably laugh at me for. So the first one is I really love MMOs and like playing Lost Ark. And I don't think this would ever make the action RPG genre like any better by any means. It's just something I personally would like to see, is that MMO aspect, the open world events, those world bosses. Like, man, I was playing Lost Ark, and it feels more like an MMO than an action RPG to me personally. But I was out killing stuff, getting some loot, and all of a sudden a boss popped up in an event, and I got some more loot. And I would just like to see that kind of sense of world, and a lot of games have tried it. Magic Legends, I hate to bring up games that, died in 2 months or whatever, if it was even that long. But like a
Yeah.
lot of companies have tried to mix the two genres and just continue to fail. And it breaks my heart every time, because it's something I've dreamt of for like over a decade. So hopefully one day that'll happen.
But from what I've heard, the Diablo 4 is gonna take the same approach,
yeah.
no?
Or are
Like
they?
with the open world
Hopefully
and
so.
yeah.
Fingers
From what
crossed.
I'm excited for that as well. With the
See
open
how
world
that
and
goes, yeah.
for sure.
And I don't know if you guys played the alpha for Wolsen back
Mhm.
when, right after it was like renamed
Yeah.
from Umbra, right?
It was so
Yeah.
different.
Oh,
Highly different.
it was an open world. I
Yeah.
mean, you went from zone to zone, and I don't think there was any loading screens, but yeah, it was really cool, and that's what I would have hoped to see, and that's what I always think about, right? Do damage is that, and what could have been. So it
Right.
was melding those really well, and then they went, left turn.
Well, I mean, it's no wonder everyone's scared to try it. I mean, look how many have failed.
Mhm.
It'll take someone
True.
to do it and do it right.
Yeah. Yeah, for
But the other genre that I would like to see is racing. I don't know how
I was
you
I
would
was
do it.
hoping you
Oh,
would say
wow.
that because I saw you've been playing the Hot Wheels game. That looks pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
It'd have to be like an arcade. You know, you have like a super car boss that you got to race. I don't know, dude. It's something random. I was
Like
thinking
Mario
of.
Karts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mario Karts where you like level up, get gear. Oh my god, that'd be so silly.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd play it.
It would be fun though.
Twisted Metal.
Yeah, like a little bit of Twisted Metal in there. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I think that Core Punk game might be kind of open world as well. At least they got like a hub. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I'm not sure the devs are entirely sure what the game is because
Right.
they keep delaying it. But it might be open world, right? In that sense.
Yeah, it is. It looks more like a MOBA. I hope the combat's
Yeah.
faster paced than the gameplay they keep showing. It looks sluggish to me.
It looks
It does,
exactly like a MOBA. Yeah. The game developer pulled three mobs, or I guess 3 enemies, and then
Right.
died. So it was rough. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. I played enough Heroes of the Storm and League of Legends. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pillow, I'll take a nap for that.
Exactly. But I think it's interesting. So I was having a conversation with a couple guys in my Discord, and this was probably a few months ago. But we were talking about Warhammer 40K, right? Inquisitor Martyr.
Mhm.
And when it first came out, had the cover based system, and it really had very kind of slow and sluggish, heavy Space Marine style gameplay, right?
Mhm.
And that kind of led us to a conversation of, do we really want to see games experiment more, like action RPGs experiment more and pull in new concepts, or do we really want to have them just refocus on what made the genre strong and polish that rather than let it sit to the wayside? You know, because we look at
Mhm.
Path of Exile, right, and it does the foundational things well. You know, Diablo 2 Resurrected, obviously does the foundational things well, and those are strong games. But then you see other games like, you know, Torchlight 3 / Frontiers, you see Warhammer 40K, Wolcen. They bring all of these experimental things in, and they always struggle, and they end up going, you know, we're going to go back to basics, and we're just going to focus on these core aspects. So it seems like, what if we just cut that out and focus on
I mean,
foundational
from
things?
a developer standpoint, I think it's pretty hard, right, to do
Mhm.
all of these things well. And I think, I mean, I will give them credit for trying. You know,
Yeah.
it's great,
It's
but I
always a
think it's
risk.
hard. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it's quite hard from a developer standpoint to
And
actually do this well and pull it off.
yeah. And it's funny
So
you mentioned the Warhammer 40K Inquisitor. I think that's the perfect game to bring up when it comes to experimenting new things because, like you said, they started off very slow, tactical, like Space Marine combat. They started with their updates pretty much going away with that, going to more faster paced. There's like these big exploding things. Some of the things they added are just insane. And then they
Yeah.
started adding seasons, pretty much just doing the action RPG formula, and the game went like way more popular from then. So that's definitely what people are looking for, I think, with action RPGs. They prefer, faster paced combat, seasonal
or maybe
grinds.
it's just what people are more comfortable with or know or like
Yeah,
known for, and people are want to be more comfortable. They
I'll
want to
be
know what
honest.
to do. Like,
I wasn't a big fan of the old version of Warhammer 40K. The
but
cover
you were.
system, no, it's still in the game, the cover system, but it's the most useless thing ever. Like, there's a few things in there that need a big rework, but we'll get into that with the next topic here. Robin, would you have any ideas from other genres that you'd like to see in action RPGs?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I like Idodmg said, like I like MMOs.
Mhm.
Well, like to be honest, it's just one because I tried most of them over the years, and I still do. But there's only like one MMO that stuck with me, and that is Elder Scrolls Online. If you heard about that or
Mhm.
played it,
Mhm.
and I have like 14K hours in it. So I'm like a
Nice.
big Elder Scrolls Online player.
Like a part owner.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like, so I'm a big fan in MMOs, especially. I like to play the tank role and the support role. So I would like to see more of that in RPGs, especially in multiplayer. Like you have special roles, if you know what I mean. I mean,
The Holy
that's gonna be
Trinity.
hard. I mean, it's
Mhm.
gonna be hard to pull off for sure in RPGs, especially when you can play solo as well and so on. But like, I would like to see more like, you know, especially in the newer RPGs where there's dungeons and multiplayer and all this stuff. Like we need a tank, for example, or we
Mhm.
need a support or something. So, because I was a tank main, like you could have like 18 characters in Elder Scrolls. I had
Mhm.
18 tanks. I only played tank for like 13K hours, right?
It's amazing.
So yeah, I was like I'm a big tank player. I like tanking. I like the support aspect.
That's
So I
funny.
would like to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I play Grim Dawn with friends or like with people from my own Discord or from other people's Discords as well, like I usually go for more supporting role. Like I want to support you guys. I want to make you do more damage. I want to make I want to taunt. I want to do this and support and buff and debuff. And I would like to see more of that.
Yeah, I know. The Path of Exile update recently added some linking skills that let you pretty much support your ally. And I know the one of them, if you link to your ally dies, you die with them. That stuff's kind of fun.
Yeah, I like those kinds of things. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But I think it's gonna be hard to pull off in an ARPG, especially when you can also play solo. Because I
And
tried to play
yeah,
my support role in solo, and it's not working quite. It's not working the way you intended it to. So
yeah,
it's gonna be hard. But yeah,
It's-
Kill Squad kind of has some of those mechanics in there where you get tethered together and you have
Oh,
to
yeah?
heal each other and stuff like that.
that's cool.
yeah, that's great. That's really great. Yeah, I really like.
And
it.
and they have dedicated roles too. Like you clearly have
Oh,
a healer
yeah.
and a tank and 2 DPS, or 3
Yeah.
two
Oh, yeah.
DPS now with a support character as well. Each
Yeah,
Sounds
I'm
other.
in
cool.
love. I'm in love already. You sold me already. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got me
Yeah.
hooked already. Yeah.
I think in most cases it's just not really going to work, because if you want that kind of play style, you're gonna play an MMO, right?
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think this is true for a lot of innovation in that sense, or sort of mixing up genres. Is that, yeah, if we want a tactical combat with cover, like the Ascent had it too, right? I played that one. You're not using it,
Nope.
right?
Just
No,
want to kill things
you're
fast.
just gonna pull out
Yeah.
your rocket launcher and shoot rockets across the screen, right? Because that's fun.
Yeah.
And you're walking across this world. Like, who's gonna use cover in that world? Like, you're not gonna do it. So, and the same with Inquisitor Martyr. The same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. At some point, I figured I tried it at the start, and it was so clunky. I was
Yep.
like, okay, I'm just gonna grab a sword and go spin to win here, because this makes no sense whatsoever, right? It will just play tanky character, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's not even necessarily uncomfortable. It's just that people have certain expectations when they play a hack and slash game, and that's that you want to hack and slash, right? You don't want to sit behind a stone wall, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's my point as well with my thing. What I said just now, like it's gonna be hard to implement that kind
Yeah.
of stuff in a fast-paced action RPG like
Yeah.
Last Epoch or Path of Exile or Grim Dawn, for example, because
Yeah.
it goes so fast and you can spin to win and you can do massive amounts of damage in a short period of time. So why do you need a tank?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because
And
yeah, it will be useless. So, but yeah, that would be the dream for me to somehow to implement that into these games. Yeah.
That's why I do damage.
Yeah,
yeah, that's your name, isn't it? That's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's because you bring up the example of Elder Scrolls Online, to go a little bit off topic, because that was like one of the MMOs I played a lot of. But with that,
Yeah.
with the Holy Trinity, I tried my best to make a character that can just do all three things and just do everything by myself, because I feel like with an action RPG, that's probably the same thing I would do, because we all need to be a little tanky, we all need to deal damage, we all need sustain, right? I feel like that's a really important thing with action RPGs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
need
sure.
well-rounded characters most of the time.
Yeah, unless it is an MMO, because if you go into a raid,
Yeah,
especially online, the one I played, like you need 2 tanks and you need 2 healers and then 8 damage dealers, for example, and then you're good to go. So if you don't have 2 tanks or 2 healers, then you're screwed. And I kind of like that aspect because everyone has something to do.
makes
You have
sense.
a job to do here, and like if you don't do it, then you're gonna wipe the team, or you're gonna do less
Awesome.
of a raid, and you're gonna have less score and all of this stuff. Yeah. So
It'll be hard to pull off, but hopefully one day.
yeah, that's my dream.
Yeah, they're trying, that's for sure. Maybe
Yeah.
Lost Ark will do it.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah.
Speaking of that, with the future of action RPGs, are there any future ones coming out? Doesn't even have to be like a new game, even like a new update to a game coming out that you're excited for. And is there anything that you're like worried about it with? Because for me, if I can start, speaking of the Warhammer 40k Inquisitor, I am really excited for the new season that's gonna come out. I think in about like 2 months. They're weird with their seasons. They don't really have it scheduled. But like I said, there's a lot of things in there that need to be reworked. And I know there's a lot of things on their list, but it's a pretty small company. But yeah, excited to see what they do there, because the last season that they did was pretty good. They did a lot of things. There's still like the one example of Thyworm, I think you were talking about escort missions and Kill Squad, right? That reminded me of some of the missions in Warhammer 40k, with the vehicle missions. You go into this tank. So first of all, you lose your character. The build that you've been making, you can't play it anymore. You go into this tank. super slow, just going from point A to point B, crushing monsters. It's the most boring thing ever. Those need to go. There's priority assignments that they make you do for the seasons, which is pretty much going through like 10 or so missions, getting like 0 XP, 0 loot. Those need to go, I think. There's a few things. And I know those are on their list, and I'm excited to see what they do with that.
I mean, they're pretty good developers from what I know, because they're the same people who made the Van Helsing RPG.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the one dude in their Discord, he's always interacting with the community, and he's pretty awesome. Yeah, he's really passionate about what he does.
Yeah, and they made
Megapole.
Mega
Yeah.
Pole and King Sisyphus.
yeah. I mean, I like the Van Helsing games. They made the RPGs.
I like those two. Yeah.
Yeah, I love them, and I still play them sometimes. And they're the same people that made Warhammer 40k, so
Mhm.
or most of them anyway. So, yeah, good people.
Sure. What about you, Idodmg? Any future projects in the works that you're excited about?
Well, obviously Lost Ark, but I'm really excited for Last Epoch. Really,
Mhm.
it's I'm really excited for multiplayer. I don't feel like it's absolutely required, but it'll be a nice touch. But I am concerned about them implementing multiplayer correctly and potentially ruining kind of the reputation, like we saw with Wolcen. And when you add multiplayer, it's a really scary step. And me as a player, I'm excited, but I am cautiously nervous as well. That's really, I mean, I've been kind of just chilling lately and just playing games a little more casually. But yeah, those are the two on my list.
Nice. What about you, Thyworm? Anything that catches your eye?
No, I agree with the Last Epoch part. I think it is by far for me the most interesting game being in development right now. They have like sort of gold in their hands, but they still need to turn it into a decent shape, right? And they are doing it, but for me there are quite a few concerns. But I'm pretty critical about the game. Like I love the game to bits, right? Like I do, and I played it a lot. But also because I played it a lot and because it is in early access, I am critical about it
Yeah.
because I think like now is the
I
time,
mean, you should.
right?
Yeah, you should
Yeah,
be.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's good that you are.
So the multiplayer, totally agree. I don't think it's gonna ruin their reputation, even if they mess it up. I think like deep down, everybody expects these servers to be down for the first week, right? And there's a decent chance they are. Yeah, it's just gonna happen, right? Or well, not gonna be completely down, but it's almost impossible that this is gonna be a smooth launch, right? You know how many people are waiting for this? It's like they're gonna flood that infrastructure. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
negative Steam reviews do hurt a company pretty quickly.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's really not going to be that bad, right? Because they are developers, so they will fix it. But yeah, the launch will probably be horrible, right? I mean, you should expect it. I haven't seen a good launch in the last 3 years for any game, pretty much. So yeah, it's going to be fine, I think, in the end. And but for me, there are more sort of fundamental issues with it, like the whole customization or randomization that's just not there. To me, it makes the end game really stale, and it's like a design flaw in my opinion, right? I think they should have done that from the start, and they haven't. And now they either need to go back, which is going to take them a long time to do, or they need to introduce separate systems. But then how are you gonna weave those into the monolith? I don't really see that happening just yet, but hopefully they will surprise me. And I think the combat is just not good. Like it doesn't
Really?
feel good. Yeah, I don't like
really?
combat at all.
Yeah, there's
Personally.
parts of
Surprising
it.
to
I
hear.
agree with that.
I remember I was playing the Druid. I didn't like that at all, but when I switched over to the new Sentinel, I like the new Sentinel a lot. I heard the Blade Dancer is really good, but I can imagine
Blade
the
Dance is
old
pretty
class
good.
is pretty outdated, huh?
Yeah, but it just feels like even the Blade Dancer, it doesn't really feel like you're hitting anything,
Oh yeah.
right?
Some of my
There's no
complaints
response
is-
from the actual monsters.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mentioned it, and they're like, "What? Do you want to stun an enemy every time you hit them?" I'm like, "No, I want to
No.
feel like I'm hitting the enemy." You know what I
Exactly.
mean? But they are updating animation, so maybe that'll help a little
Yeah, I
bit.
think so.
Yeah, it's just an
Yeah, I
issue that's
agree.
been ongoing for I feel a long time, right? And even the newer animations to me, they don't seem that convincing yet.
So I'm gonna be the
yeah.
odd person out then, because I actually like the combat, but I'm one of the lucky few that like it then. Because I like the summoner
I
playstyle
mean,
in that
I'm not
epoch.
saying
I
it's
like the spin.
terrible. I'm just saying it has some things that I noticed that could be improved.
Makes
Yeah,
sense,
of course it
yeah.
could be improved. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I kind of like the summoner playstyle in that epoch, and I kind of like the spin to win you could do back then at least.
And
I
it's
think
early
the
access,
spin to
so
win.
they have time.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have time. But I think with
Yeah.
spin to min, to me, it's very obvious that you're not actually hitting anything, right? You see your character and the circle around your character, and the enemies are just falling over like dead pancakes, right? It's just weird. It's just
Dynasty Warriors.
No oomph
Yeah.
But
to
it
your
got the
hits.
numbers.
but it's satisfying to see them.
Make the numbers
Yeah.
bigger, then we'll have fun, right?
Yeah,
Maybe they need to change the color of the numbers. That'll help. Get some oranges in there.
There
yeah,
you go.
exactly.
Yeah,
Make it more colorful, people.
Nice.
exactly.
Robin, anything that you're excited about for the future?
Well, I'm gonna say the same thing first. That is the last epoch in the
Mhm.
multiplayer beta and all of this stuff, and I'm like everyone said so far. Like, I am quite worried about it because multiplayer will be a big step for them and for the developers to implement, and I think it's gonna be a rocky launch for that, with all the people coming in and flooding everything, and being critical and all of this stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be. But I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Because I like Last Epoch. I really like it. But then again, like Thyworm said, I want more like random stuff, randomization in maps, and So yeah, that's something they will actually need for me to keep going with them. If that makes sense, like
Mhm.
because I can also like paint the maps for you, like Thyworm
Yeah.
said. Like you can actually, because it's just the same over and over again. So I hope they will implement some of that randomization. But I am quite excited, of course, for Diablo 4 as well. But I'm quite worried, like really worried, because of the whole Blizzard shenanigans that has been happening. So I am quite worried if they will take a hit from this, from the developer standpoint and all the people that's working on it and so on. So I'm quite worried. But I hope they will pull it off, because Diablo is one of my favorite franchises of all time. So I really do hope they will make something good out of it.
Yeah.
But then again, from everything that's happening with them and that has happened,
Yeah.
you never know.
I'm
So
hoping, the developers themselves are like pretty passionate about the game. I'm assuming it's just the executives and stuff and the decisions that they make. I think a lot of the time it just hurts the games that they make.
yeah, exactly. And there's been a lot of drama surrounding Blizzard lately, and people leaving the games and boycotting them and all of this stuff. And I know there's people getting fired and leaving and coming again, and all of this stuff. So you never really know. So yeah, I'm quite worried, but I'm excited at the same time.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Last Epoch and Diablo 4 for me
Nice.
probably, and yeah, that's yeah.
Oh, Vulkan, anything exciting for the future of action RPGs for you?
I would say Last Epoch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I'm super original. Yeah, the multiplayer stuff, of course. Obviously near terms the Druid update, but also Path of Exile 2, whenever that decides to rear its head. I really like the changes that they're kind of bringing to the game, right? The new kind of gem system, how they're approaching the skill tree. So curious to see how they're going to make it more approachable for new players, take out some of the unnecessary complexity. So I know there's a lot of people in my Discord that are also super pumped for that. I don't want to touch PoE right now because PoE 2 is coming out, so I'm excited to jump in when that becomes a thing. But then also, obviously, we mentioned it earlier, but the Chronicon DLC that's gonna be coming out, the Ancient Beasts. I think
Oh,
that's
I'm
gonna
so
be
excited for that
That looks
game, man.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
it's
gonna
gonna be
be so
super
good.
good. So, but that's really it. So long term PoE 2, medium term multiplayer, and short term that Ancient Beast DLC.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Ancient Beast stuff looks so cool. Sorry, Robin, what
like
was that?
I'm just saying that I'm one of those people that actually don't like PoE.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting a lot of a lot of hate for that, quote
Hey,
unquote. But yeah, I don't really like PoE for some. I don't know why, but I cannot get into PoE. It's like one of the only ARPGs I don't like. It's insane. But yeah, I will
it's
try PoE too, though. But yeah.
it's an acquired taste, I'd say. Like for me, it's I'll play through the season, I'll get all the way through the acts, and then I'll do, like a little bit of mapping, and then I'm done for the season. I don't spend countless hours on it. I'll move on to something else, and it's just for me, it's fun to experience the league, but then I move on and do something different. So, yeah, and I get it. It's one of those things that's
Yeah,
kind of tough to
I
get
don't
into.
really know, because it's like I don't really even enjoy the gameplay, and I don't know why. I just everything surrounding PoE for me is just weird. I
I had
want to
the
like
same
it. I
thing.
really do. I really want to like it, but I just
I had
can't.
the I had the same thing let's say 3-4 years ago, when
Oh.
I just kept trying it, and I was like, nah, this is not for me. I just don't get it. It's just not really fun. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. And even when, but then I followed like a build guide step to step. Enki's ARPG, I can recommend it to anyone.
Yes, so
It's
good.
it's amazing. It's also sort of almost a meme at this point. But
Yeah.
you just follow the guide. You don't think about anything, and you just play the game, right? And then I actually started to enjoy the game for the actual gameplay without having to worry about the whole game theory bachelor's degree, right? Which I would get much later. So if you just follow a guide to the letter, and you should really follow it to the letter, because you miss one sentence, you miss one upgrade, and then suddenly your build stops working, right? It's
Mhm.
that kind of game. But then, over time you start to learn, but at least you can enjoy the game and just play the game as you can with Last Epoch, right? Which is a super intuitive game. You can just look at skill tree and you pick some skills points and you think, this probably works like this, and it does, right? It's like, hey, your skeletons now do for fire damage. Oh, that's nice. And then with PoE, you need to fix all the spell tags and the minion tags, and does it apply to minion physical damage or your own physical damage? How are you supposed to know? Nobody's gonna tell you. No, you don't know, right? Nobody's gonna tell you. The game's not gonna tell you either. So, yeah, if you want to give it a try, I really recommend Enki's ARPG. A lot of fun, great build as well, and just lightning blasting everything, super fun.
So
And
what
that's
you're
how I got into it.
So what you're saying, I should just try again?
I mean, if you want to, clearly. I mean, it's fine to not like the game, right? You also get a
Yeah.
lot of hate if you do like the game,
Yeah,
right? Because
you can't
like,
win.
there's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
two frauds here.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I will
Yeah.
try again in PoE
Yeah.
too. Sounds exciting, to be fair. So I'm gonna try it again for sure.
For me, and
yeah.
as much as I do like PoE, it's one of the first ARPGs that I got like really into. I have a ridiculous amount of hours on it. Like I have my own criticisms about it too, of course. Like the biggest thing, I do not like the trading system, and that makes me wonder where the trading system for Last Epoch is gonna go with its
Oh, yeah.
multiplayer. I'm wondering if they're gonna do the same thing where you have to like go on alternate websites that scrape everybody's stashes and all this nonsense. Because earlier today I was spending like at least 15 minutes trying to convert an exalted orb into chaos and just no one answering me, and that is so frustrating, right? I'd rather just play the game. So I'm really wondering where Last Epoch's gonna go with that idea.
That's how I am. I always play on SSF, and like people on my
Yeah.
Discord and stuff want to give me the best gear, and I'm like, no, I want to earn it.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a masochist like that.
No, I
Yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah. I mean, I
I'm
agree. It
crazy
feels
stuff.
kind of bad when you get everything for free, right?
Yeah,
Because
Yeah,
that's
you
you
want
gotta
to
weird.
earn
earn
it,
it,
man. You
and
gotta
you
put in the
want to
graft.
yeah, and you want to play, you want to grind, you want to enjoy the
Yeah,
game.
the
You want
whole 0 to
to. I mean,
hero thing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because it will then feel so good when you get that loot and you see, oh, I got this legendary or whatever, and it feels so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so like that covers everything about the present, past, and future of the action RPG whole entire genre. So the other thing that we would like to talk about here is like just a quick
Yeah.
little segment on just content creation in general, because most of us here are content creators, have been for a while. Thyworm, you've been one for a very long time. I wasn't even aware of that. I actually found you from Pagan Online a while ago. That's the first video that I saw from you.
Oh yeah, the
That's
Pagan
pretty
Online
cool.
game. Oh,
Yeah.
Pagan. Oh, Pagan.
So
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah, or pagan.
I know
Poor
Pagan
Pagan.
absent gods now.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
We're absent player base, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that.
but like it could have been great. To be fair, though, that game it could have been good.
That
Yeah.
game had
Yeah,
a lot of potential.
yeah. I
I
kind of
liked
enjoyed
it.
it at
Yeah,
first,
I
but
liked a lot of things about it.
It's a lot like Kill Squad, to be honest with you.
It's
yeah.
a lot like Kill Squad, yeah.
yeah, it's so sad what happened to Pagan, really. But going back to the content creation, because there's like I'm quite interested in that because I myself I'm not a fan of like creating content, quote unquote, myself. So I like to like having contact with others and watch them, and you know. So like, cause I'm the only one here who's not creating content, right? Because I like to be in the background a bit more. But I am quite curious to like what got you into content creation, right? Because I want to know, like, I'm very curious that like what got you started and what made you like, oh, I want to do this, you know.
Yeah.
So that's my question to all of you, really, to be quite honest.
For me, like the biggest thing that inspired me was starting when Path of Exile. Like Thyworm said, you have to follow a guide really, because the game's not really gonna tell you most of the stuff. So I was watching all these different guides. There were a lot of people who would do like step by step, like play with me type things. Thought that was a lot of fun to watch. Someone I watched a lot of was Ziggy D, And yeah, he's been a huge inspiration for me. Just yeah, I love creating guides and all that, just being unique on doing things that not other people are doing. Showcasing mods is a big one too, especially very underrated mods. Yeah, been
I mean,
enjoying
yeah.
content creation a lot.
I mean, I remember when I first saw you, Smatty, I think I watched your Grim Dawn videos on the mods, like Dawn of Masteries and all of this stuff.
It's
Yeah.
a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I like that mod also. But yeah, I remember I watched your videos on that, and also Warhammer 40k. You did a lot of in streams as well.
Been
So, yeah,
enjoying
I
the last season of that a lot. What about you, Vulcan? What first inspired you into creating content?
I touched on it a little bit earlier, but it was just trying to create a community of folks who like to play a lot of the same games. You know, I know, like I said, myself, right? A lot of my friends had moved on to either not playing games or they're playing like NHL and stuff. So I was like, I need to find some people that like the same stuff I do. So I was like, I'm gonna create a YouTube channel and I'll just, start creating content. It was something I always wanted to do, and I had a lot of free time, so decided to fill that up. And ultimately, I ended up with a fantastic community of amazing people, and on top of that, driving a lot of positive change in the community as well. So whether it's charity events, whether it's donations, making people's like game dreams come true with driving like Kickstarters and stuff. So it's been really really awesome. But second to that, it's kind of like I do damage, right? You have people reaching out to you, asking all kinds of stuff about, hey, what do you think about this game? Are you playing this one? I've always been that person, my entire life, whether it's in school, whether it's family. Hey, have you played this? What do you think about it? Do you like it? I love talking games, so being able to give them a YouTube video with gameplay and breaking it down and all that stuff. It helps. And it also saves, me from sending like 15 text messages. So it's one of those things that it just has multiple benefits, and I enjoy it. It's one of those hobbies that I can't really see myself not doing now that I've been doing it
Yeah,
for a few years. And
Yeah, understandable.
yeah, I had stopped for a while. I made like 2 videos and then stopped, and it was really strange. So, I got back to it, but yeah, so that's kind of what kicked everything off for me and where I'm at now.
nice.
Yeah, because I kind of like your community, to be fair, Vulcan, because I see a lot of stuff like, with the charity stuff and stuff and things like that, and it's really nice to see, honestly. Because I
Yeah,
like when people are helping people, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's just a good vibe, and people helping each other and having a good time, and there's charity and donations and making people's lives, better and more fun, you know what I mean? And it's
Exactly.
like, it's great, like, so good. So
Yeah.
nice to see.
I lucked out, to be
Yeah,
honest with you. So I
yeah,
had
but then again, but it's good, and I know many people that comes into my Discord as well, and I share your Discord with them, and because people are also, when they come into a community like that, they wonder, because I'm not a content creator myself, right?
Mhm.
So what do you do here, and can you recommend this? Can you recommend this or that or whatever? And I usually share most of you, actually, to be quite honest, but I share your
For sure.
videos a lot too, Vulcan, and you're a great person, honestly. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's a great thing the internet lets us do, like share our not only gameplay but content and like our thoughts about it, and also helping people around the world. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
that's what I like about the community. Since as I said like many times now, I'm not creating myself, right? So I like to share people with others, because I
Mhm.
like to spread the word about other content creators and help people. Because I'm more of that kind of person. I want to help everyone, and I want to make sure everyone has a good place to stay, and have a good time and all of this, and have certain
Yeah,
events or giveaways or whatever, and make everyone just happy. It's
Yeah.
great.
The
nice.
innkeeper.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
no.
great.
There's a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of work that goes into community, managing the community, like you said, with Discord. There's lots of issues. But
Yeah, of course, there's always issues happening, but
yeah.
yeah.
But Thyworm, for you, I know you said that earlier in the introductions you said Skyrim mods was like one of the things that inspired you the most. But when it comes to like starting with action RPGs, do you have anything in mind that got you wanting to go to action RPGs, make those kind of videos?
No, not specifically. Um, so I'm probably the worst content creator out here because I have no real strategy in that sense. Like I just do whatever I feel like, right? So sometimes the channel is about this and then it's about something else. And that's a horrible idea, right? If you're doing a
Oh.
YouTube channel. And so, but I stopped caring about the numbers some time ago, and it's actually quite nice. So for me,
But
you know, it's like I have a decent job in real life, and I'm actually enjoying my job, and I'm
Awesome.
not planning on, let's say, trying to make YouTube a bigger thing than it is now. So, but that reflects in the content and in the subs and in everything that maybe other people care a lot more about, right? And that's completely fine if you do, of course. But for me, it's a little like for me, it's really something on the side that I just
Mhm.
enjoy doing every now and then. But yeah, like the new league is starting. I haven't put a video up for 3 weeks, right? Yeah, sorry guys. But yeah, so for me it was a bit of a random decision, but it was Pagan Online. So
Yeah.
I was making a lot of mod videos, and that really got the sort of kickstarted the channel, like 7.5 years ago ish. And it was also an interesting community, the Skyrim mod community, because it's relatively small. You have a few really big sort of mod creators that make the most beautiful things. And then you have maybe 10, 15 content creators that are covering these with videos. And it's always the same guys and girls. And that's great. So it was pretty easy to get into. I got some instant advice from some content creators over there, which was really nice of them. And they said, for example, like, hey, you know, if you're showing a mod, maybe you shouldn't show your mouse because it's like janky as hell, right? This movement with the mouse, just plug in a controller, and then you can actually pan the view around. It's like, oh, so that's how you guys are doing this, right? I was just trying with the mouse, like, you saw the,
Yeah.
you should. My videos are still up there, like you can see. And but then Pagan Online came along, and for some reason, that game just like got me. I was
Mhm.
like, wow, this is a fun game, right? And I went all out on Paying Online, and I was pretty much at the start, the only content creator sort of for Paying Online, and it got me quite a few subs. And but yeah, and it got me even to Gamescom with them
Oh, wow.
interviewing these guys. Really cool stuff. It was definitely the pinnacle of my YouTube career, right? And but this was a few years ago, like 2 years ago, in 2019 in Cologne in Germany, and yeah. But that it's more of a, if I just encounter a game that I think, oh, this is really cool, then I start covering the game. So the same thing happened with Last Epoch. This is why I've made so much content
Mhm.
about Last Epoch. I have a bit of content about PoE, but um, yeah. So it's more inspired by the games. And if I just feel like putting out a video, right? If I feel like writing a script, if I feel like doing some editing, then this happens. And yeah, there's no real other rhyme or reason to it, I suppose.
but the most important thing is that you enjoy yourself, right?
Yeah,
'Cause that's what
exactly.
Well,
like you
that's
need
the
to
whole
enjoy what
point
you're
for
doing.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you need to enjoy what you're doing because it shows in the content creation as
Mhm.
well. Because people will see if you're not having a good time, right? And you
Yeah,
need
for
to make
sure.
sure people see that and like you're doing something good. And I think you're doing a good job, even though,
Mhm.
as you said, maybe you're not releasing videos that much or whatever. But when you do, you make it good, and it shows that you're passionate about what you're doing. So that's always good. And I take that
Mm.
any day over like putting out 10 videos a day, and it shows that you're not having a good time, right?
Yeah,
So like, yeah, it's
exactly.
better to have quality over quantity. So
Yeah. That's but the interesting thing is that's just not how YouTube works, right? Most of the time.
yeah,
No, not
If
how
you
exactly.
their
want to grow a
algorithm likes
YouTube,
it.
you should put quantity over quality all day, every day, because it's all about making more content. It's not about what you say, unless
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
there are a
mean,
few limitations, but not really.
Yeah, I'm sure if you put like the same video out every day, people won't appreciate that. But I totally
No,
get
no,
what you're
YouTube
saying.
doesn't appreciate that either.
I
Yeah.
mean, I can
Or 20 videos a day, right, Vulkan?
I was waiting. I was
Oh,
waiting.
you the New World stuff. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh
Oh
god, that was
shit!
terrible. I lost 550 subs
Oh,
off
that
that
sucks.
in like
Oh
2
man,
hours.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
that's
You
yeah.
actually
worked really hard on
bad.
those too.
I did. Yeah, that's like 72 hours worth of work. And but yeah, no, that was I thought
That
I was
was
doing
rough.
a favor. I thought I was doing people a favor. I was like, I'm just gonna release them all at the same time. That way everything's there and they can do everything right when the game launches. Learns don't do that. Instead, I guess release them every day, a couple every day. But yeah, I don't know. a big learning opportunity. So
It's a lesson
Yeah.
for all of us, I guess.
yeah.
Well,
So
if you release more than 3 videos in a day, YouTube will not send out notifications.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
See,
the thing.
the problem that we ran into was people were really upset that their feed
Mhm.
was all me, and that was the big thing that I got. You know, it was like a screenshot, and it was like, "Hey, here's my feed. It's all Vulkan, so
Yeah.
that's cool." And now I have to, deal with that, and you're throwing my whole morning routine off, and it was. I didn't know people had
Morning
used
routines.
used the feed that much. I mean, I don't use the feed, so
yeah.
it was yeah.
I had the
But-
same type of thing. I scheduled like a month worth of streams
Mhm.
and just put them all public. I didn't know that they went to everyone's feed. I thought they went to the feed when you went live.
I remember getting those. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Actually, I
funny.
made a video saying sorry. I felt really bad. I had no clue, but hey, live and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube's a weird thing with its. You see the
Yeah.
shorts that they're trying to incentivize now, making 60-second shorts.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
trying to put those out like really hard right now, trying to turn the platform into TikTok. It seems a little bit.
Yeah.
which is sad in my opinion. I'm not a
Yeah,
content
I'm
creator,
sure.
so I can't really say. But to me, I want the longer quality stuff instead of the short forms.
Like, yeah, I think there's some stuff you can put in 60 seconds, but yeah, for like, especially games as complex as action RPGs, no way, that's not gonna work.
Yeah. What I've seen people use it for is more like like an advertisement,
Mhm.
right? Hey, today we're going to be talking about these 10 topics,
Okay.
on like I saw IGN use it, right? And it was, oh hey, we're going to be talking about these 3 things in today's, podcast video or whatever. And it just kind of gave people an example of, hey, come visit our channel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was okay. But I think the shorts go to like 3 minutes now too, which
Oh, do
is
they?
yeah, which because obviously TikTok is 3 minutes now as well. So
Oh, they're
which,
trying to compete. Yeah.
yeah, which really makes it puts YouTube in kind of a bind, right? Do you do a 3-minute YouTube video or do you do a 3-minute short? And what's the, I guess, benefit of doing either one? So I don't know.
Do the shorts stay on timelines? Like, do they convert into an actual 3-minute video that shows up on a feed somewhere?
I
Kind of.
believe
I
it
mean,
I didn't think
does.
so.
I mean, they will show up on your channel though. Like if you go
Mhm.
to the channel
They do?
Yeah,
videos.
I
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
experimented
Oh.
with them a bit for Slay the Spire, and a completely different type of game, but yeah, from what I've heard, they show up on people's feeds, and if you're on mobile, it'll show up on a completely different spot.
Yeah. I've seen the mobile because I watch a lot of YouTube on mobile. So I've seen shorts of other people. I just never made one myself. But I've never seen, if I do subscriptions, which I typically do, then I don't see shorts. So either none of my like channels that I follow make shorts, which is very possible. But
Could be.
I'm not sure they should like after you've made them, if they are still, searchable. Because if they're not, then it's a pretty bad idea, right? Then you should only use it for brand communication, let's say, or like community
Yeah,
management kind of stuff.
gotcha.
But
But they will show up under your videos though. If you click a channel and click videos,
okay,
they will show up there though. So
okay.
I need to
that's
test
something,
that
I
out.
guess.
Yeah, that's a good
Mm.
question. And yeah, going back to the original topic with what inspired us, Idodmg, what inspired you to start creating action RPG content?
Really, it was just random. The first one I started creating content on was Pagan Online. I actually
Oh,
watched.
really?
I couldn't figure out Pagan math, so I watched Thyworm, and he taught me Pagan math because it's
There
not
you
like
go.
proper math; it's a
Mhm.
different type of math. But yeah, that was the first action RPG I think that I really started to make content for on YouTube. But I had a friend that had been asking me for a long time to just stream, and I finally gave in. Once my kids were older, I think I mentioned that earlier. I really didn't know what I was getting into. And then once I had the one viewer Sentinel recommend that I make YouTube videos on like indie games and stuff like that, once I realized that I could just put all the things that are in my head into a video and like even get like one view, like one other person watched that, like that's the coolest thing. Because when I'm playing a game, like I'm over analyzing every single aspect of the game and I'm breaking it down in my head. And then it's honestly it's therapeutic to put that into a video form. And like I've always said, even if 1 or 2 people watch that video and like it, I mean that's awesome, dude. Like I'm doing what I love and I'm sharing it and someone's getting something out of it, kind of providing a service in a way. But yeah, I mean I don't know, right now I've been a little bit chilled on videos. I've been just focusing on real life kids and the dad thing. But
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get back more into
Yeah.
the streaming and making videos and stuff like that. But I've just kind of taken a step back the past few weeks and just chilled out on it a little bit. And it's been relaxing, honestly. But yeah, it's kind of where I started.
Nice.
There's another thing with all this content creation. This just popped up in my head because again, for the millionth time, I do not create content, so I'm kind of curious about a lot of things. So like, how do you feel about, because on YouTube there's a lot of content creators out there, right? There's like thousands more even.
There's
So how do
millions.
you, yeah, millions, right? And for a particular game, if you're doing content for that game and then you see like, oh, there's 20 more people who create content, do you feel like competitive? Do you feel, oh, I'm not gonna make it here because there's already 19 other people creating content for this, so why do I bother? You know what I mean?
Right. I think
Because if you want to, like, how should I say, you want to make something out of your YouTube channel, right? So
Right, yeah. No, I think at first I would see like Vulkan and I'm like, dude, he's got like 50,000 views on this video. What the heck, man? For the first, I don't know, 3 months, honestly, yeah, I felt that way. But then as I went along, I realized, that doesn't really matter as long as I'm sharing my opinion and, I'm getting some sort of views. Like, that's all I really cared about. And then I also had the live stream, which kind of is where my community is from the live streams. And the live interaction with people that I don't even know is rewarding. But in terms of seeing like, 20 people in like was it Thyworm said it's always the same guys and girls that are covering the games. I think that's awesome, and I think that's healthy because then you can get ideas and you can hopefully build something better and really improve your own craft kind of in a sense. So I think it's healthy at the end of the day.
yeah, that's good to hear.
And
Yeah.
I think it comes back to the whole idea of like just doing what you have fun with, really. Just not even thinking about how much competition there is with the thing. As long as you like the thing, as long as you're doing something unique as well, I think it's a big thing. Yeah, it'll do pretty well. It might take some time, but yeah, I think if you keep going at it, it'll do pretty well.
Yeah, I think if you're constantly worried about the numbers and being better than the next one, you're just going to burn out. Like, that's not why you should do it. That's my opinion, though.
I agree.
But it depends what you want to do, right? So if you're fine with having potentially less subs or less views, but you will make out the content that you think is good content, which may not be good content at all, right? But you think it's good content, then that's okay. But if you actually want to grow your channel, you should think about competition, right? Because it clearly matters.
Exactly. That's why it's so
So-
healthy to have that competition.
It depends, I would say, and I also agree with the burnout thing. So at some point, like I've had periods in the YouTube channel where I was working like a lot on it, right, and made a lot of videos. And you could definitely, it is like a one-on-one thing, right? You invest more, you get more subs. It's pretty much the way it works, right? Yeah, you have to have a little bit of luck here and there to like go booming with one of the videos. That can always happen, but typically speaking, if you are very well aware of what people are making and you either you see that it does well and you start making similar content, or you start reacting to it or whatever, like it will work, right? So if you do care about the numbers and growing your channel, then I think you should be aware of what the competition is doing, and then you will worry about it too. Like I don't believe people that say they're not worried about competition in that sense, right? I mean, you should be, because people are only going to watch, so many opinions on the next patch, right? So I'm not going to watch 4 opinions on the next last epoch patch. No, right? So there is competition. It's less than streaming because you can only watch one channel at the same time, whereas you can, queue the YouTube videos. But I think there is definitely some worry left and right if you want to make something out of your channel. I think you should be worried a bit.
I mean, that's healthy in the end, I think, too. Like Idodmg said, I think. But like, as long as there's no resentment, you know what I mean, and people,
Right.
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Everyone
but that's
should be
different,
happy.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's different.
But I know many people talking this and talking that, and so just wondering
I
how you
mean,
guys see it. So
drama can also be good for the views, right?
Yeah, not something I'd ever want to do personally.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine that it's not really fun. But yeah.
Especially when it bleeds out in the real life stuff. That's never fun.
Oh yeah, and it's getting personal.
Yeah.
I've seen
Something
that happen. Yep.
something that you mentioned I do damage that I want to expand upon. You said like content creation can be kind of therapeutic, and I think also it can get you like much better at the game that you're playing. Because when I'm making like for a build guide, for example, and I'm like writing a script, I can see wait, that decision's stupid. Why did I do that? Let me go and change that to this now, which is not something I normally can do when I'm playing. When I'm sitting there writing and thinking hard about it, yeah, it makes me feel like I'm a lot better at the games that I play.
Yeah, I agree. And then if you release a build, someone's going to call you out on your BS at some
Exactly.
point, and which is good. You learn
Yeah,
from it.
exactly. I love it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it makes me better for the next one. For my Chronicon build guide, I got a lot of that, but yeah, just learning experience, go on to the next one. Yeah. Any other things anyone wants to say about action RPGs or content creation before we end things here?
I mean, I want to know Vulkan's standpoint on this because he has not answered. So I'm kind of curious.
Oh, I thought he did. Sorry.
No, you're good. I would say, yeah, I would say I'm pretty competitive. It not in terms of like resentment or obviously like beating out everybody, but more in terms of seeing how that person is like what that person's doing in order to get more views and use those things as learning opportunities. Like I watched a lot of Thyworm's content because he does such a good job of taking information and packing it into a more info dense video. I used to have really long form videos because I ramble and it's ridiculous. So I have to like write a script and really stick to it. But I watched a lot of Thyworm stuff because he did such a good job of getting all the information out there, but also putting it into a easily consumable format. Right. So taking stuff like that and then applying it to my own opinion and my own kind of process. But yeah, so then also looking at other creators and seeing what they're doing, and obviously how quickly they're putting out videos, which then influences how quickly I need to put out videos. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there. I've slowed down a lot, obviously, because I'm a dad now, and
Indeed, yeah.
yes, so I value spending time with my daughter and my wife over putting out videos. But yeah, so I need to really kind of do a lot of research and make sure that each video I put out is going to, do well or represent the channel as well as I would like. And you don't have that kind of shotgun blast of videos, minus the 20 that I did, but you need to have, each one needs to be a diamond rather than, something less. So that's just the way I kind of approach it. But yeah, it's been really cool and going through each game that I cover and seeing the different content creators that are also out there. I've learned a ton just from how they approach things and why they're making a bigger splash than I am and vice versa.
Yeah, and you know what they say, family comes first, right? So I feel you.
Exactly.
But then again, all of you guys in here right now, you all have different approach to videos in a way. Because I watch all of you guys, even when you live stream, when you do videos and all of this stuff. Because I like to keep up to date with videos and stuff too. But you all have your own approach, and I like that because everyone's different, right? And you
Yeah.
come to a certain you come to a certain person for a certain thing or whatever, and I think that's great because I think you all do a good job, and you all do what you do, and it shows that you love what you do, and you all have your strengths and weaknesses, and it shows, and it's great. I think it's just great overall. So,
Do you guys feel that with build guides it gets more competitive? Because I do.
It depends on the game. Like with Warhammer 40K, like I was the only one making build guides. Kind of, there were a few other people making like really short ones, but I think it definitely
CDB has
depends on
one.
it. Yes, I actually followed his
Yeah,
a long time ago. He was the first
the
one.
robots, the small little robots
and
thing.
I remade it kind of for the updated version.
Mm.
It's pretty sick, yeah.
Not necessarily for me. When I make build guides, I see those as more of an opportunity to get a lot more feedback from the community, right? Because people are going to interpret things differently. There's always going to be a way to improve the build, and there's going to be something that I missed or overlooked or didn't think about that's going to synergize really well. So those to me, I like them because they help me improve my gameplay. I'll put out there, hey, here's what I have, and then somebody will say something like, oh, hey, you can do this, this, and this, and then I'll put out an updated guide, and they're a lot more collaborative, I would view, rather than competitive. I think to me, competitive is like tutorials or how to find something or how to do something, because those typically, like you mentioned earlier, Thyworm, I mean, you get one out there of like, hey, here's how to beat this boss. Then it's like, well, why would I watch another one? I mean, the mechanics are the same, the experience is the same, so I'm gonna watch this guy's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, totally.
I kind of feel the same way with build guides. Like for me, I do stress out about them a lot, so I don't do a lot of them. But I usually just do, this is what I'm using, and then someone's not going to like it, and that's fine. But for me, it's when I'm streaming and someone is demanding I use a certain skill in a certain node, and it's like, no, I'm not going to. It's like when my kid demands that I buy him a new video game. I'm like, well, now you're not getting it. You know what I mean? Same kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna play it.
Yeah,
I'm going to use the worst skill in the game right now.
Yeah.
I'm going unarmed fisticuffs. Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I love getting advice and all that, but when the advice boils down to that skill sucks, you should use this. Every good build needs this 5 passives, and it's like, no man, let me do something unique.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, I agree with this. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think that's what I meant a little bit with the build guide thing. So what I noticed quite a bit when making build guides for example, Last Epoch, is where I just make guides that are fun to play, but they don't necessarily beat, let's say, 400 corruption. So then people come in and they watch and they start playing, and I know I tell them, right, it's like, hey, this is a fun to play guide. This is not like a 400 corruption endgame guide, right? Because I can't be bothered to farm these maps for 300 more corruption. You know how long that takes. So I don't know what it does at 400, but I'm struggling at 100, so it probably doesn't gonna be amazing, right?
Yeah.
But then you see that people are still looking for like something very efficient or something, right? They wanna get there, and they want to build that gets them there. And then so I think they're in that sense there. I feel a little bit more competition. I'm not too stressed out about it myself, but I do get these comments like, "Hey, why don't you use this? Because there's like 20% more DPS." I'm like, yeah,
But why?
use it then, right?
Yeah.
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 That's the cool thing about following build guides too, is that you can expand upon them, kind of do your own
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I usually do when I actually follow something as well. Like I pick another skill that I think is more fun, because you play games for fun in the end, right? You enjoy playing video games, so you do what you do, and you do what you think is fun.
Yeah.
So I usually expand upon it as well. Yeah.
I'm terrible at math. Like literally awful at math. I never got anything higher
Same.
than a D at math.
Yeah.
And it's just terrible. So for me, whenever I do build guides, they're usually like themed guides or like something that's just, yeah, like Thyworm said, fun to play, right? I'm not gonna push the upper echelons of games. I know that I'm not gonna do that. So I just play something fun, put a build guide together. Hey, if you want to do something fun, like a paladin build or this like holy fire build or a resto shaman style build, here you go. If you don't, great, go for the meta and enjoy. Or there's always the arc witch. You can always go back to the arc witch.
Mhm.
So-
And so I kind of lost my train of thought there. Another thing with the build guides as well is that I completely forgot what I was about to say. Sorry about that.
No, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I remember later.
I have a weird question, or like a
Yep.
fun question on the side here. So, what game do you enjoy most? Like, what game do you enjoy most doing content for? Like, is there a favorite game you love doing content for? Personally,
I'm gonna say Grim Dawn, especially with the modding community. They're almost always coming out with something new. It's so much fun. Yeah.
no, just from a content creation standpoint. Yeah.
Mhm.
How about you, Thyworm or Vulkan or Idodmg?
I think a lot of content like for me at least, and I already told this, is that the content itself needs to be interesting in order to enjoy creating content about
Yeah,
it,
that's
right?
true. Yeah.
So this is a super subjective thing. But if I get excited about a game, it doesn't necessarily mean that I want to create content about it. For example, I played a lot of Cyberpunk, and when it worked, and on PC it was kind of fine, to be honest. I never really felt the need to create any content about the game. I made a few videos about the mods that it had,
Yeah.
which actually did rather well for some weird reason. So yeah, you wouldn't expect that, right? But they did pretty well. And I was excited to tell people about it because the driving back in Cyberpunk, it sucked, right? It was really bad. You couldn't control a car, and it was like half the gameplay. And someone made a mod that was just called like better car driving or something, and it basically fixed the whole issue. So I made a small video like, hey, if you want to actually have fun driving a car in Cyberpunk, get this mod. This is how you install it. And that was a 4 or 5 minute video. It was completely fine. And that is what I think then is fun. So yeah, it's just a game that I either enjoy playing a lot, but more so for me that I feel that I have something to talk about.
Mhm.
Because otherwise you get this content again like next patch, and they're gonna add a druid fly, and now you can fly, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, right? Is that really too interesting? I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, that's it for me. I suppose the content itself is the most important thing there.
Yeah, okay. It's fair enough, really. How about you guys, Vulkan or Idodmg?
For me, I'm such a variety gamer just because I play everything. It's really whatever I'm playing, to be honest with you. So right now, New World, Lost Ark. So creating content around those, enjoying everything that I'm doing there, and then next couple months, we have Elden Ring, we have Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, we have Lost Ark's actual launch.
Oh, all good.
Um,
Yeah, good
so
stuff.
yeah, so we have a bunch of things coming out, and I just love creating content, whatever I'm playing at the moment, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm just fully vested in it, and yeah, so that's just really, really it. I don't really have a game that's like, man, I love to create content for this one particular game. I'm gonna do it until the end of time, just because interests change and I move on. And if
Yeah,
something
yeah.
really cool comes out, like Wilson has a bunch of end game stuff that's gonna be coming out,
Right.
new modes and everything. I'll probably go back and do a video on that to talk about it and compare it to the expeditions. But yeah, so just kind of keeping up with all of the games in particular.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah,
And how-
games in general have really become kind of like fast food to me. Just kind of chew through it and you're done.
Mhm.
On the next, toss to the side. For me, like it's hard to commit to one game. For me, the way, and this is how it's been ever since I started 2 years ago, is if I get done playing a game and I go to bed and I can't sleep because I'm thinking about the game and thinking about a video that I want to make, and I'm scripting the video in my head and I can't sleep, then I know that that's a video that I want to make, and that's
Totally.
literally since the very first YouTube video ever, and then that's just how it is for me.
yeah, yeah.
I remembered what I was just about to say when you guys brought up being variety gamers. The one thing about making build guides as a variety channel is that we don't really have the time to put in, like Thyworm said, getting the 400 corruption, getting to like the super endgame in Path of Exile, whatever you're doing. We realistically, especially with jobs and families and everything, just don't have the time to do that for like every single action RPG coming out, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be
Exactly.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, and me and Thyworm have had conversations about this multiple times, but it's like Path of Exile, right?
Mhm.
There's
The big one.
such a big learning curve, and you have to understand a ton before you are even really ready to put out a build guide. Because if not, you're gonna lose credibility, and
Mhm.
then the build guide's not gonna make a lot of sense to really like advanced players. There's people that have been just playing Path of Exile since its release, and that's the only game they've played, right? They're gonna poke a bunch of holes in it. So that's one of the reasons I've avoided making guides on it in general,
Same.
is just because I just don't feel like my knowledge is there to provide anything useful, other than, hey, you're a new player, I was a new player once, here's some things to look out for, but that's about
Yeah.
it.
I mean, there's always will be people that have spent like millions of hours in the game from the start, as you said, that will cover the rest. And I know there's a person, I think, on the Discord I think he has 24,000 hours in Path of Exile
It's just
as of
insane.
now. And
that is
yeah, that's insane. So
crazy.
yeah, there will always
Love it.
be those
But
people.
most of the content creators that are like of the old school content creators have those kind of numbers.
Mhm.
Like Cizeran has that same number. I follow Cute Dog quite closely. He doesn't put out that many videos, and the ones he makes are absolutely hilarious, but not necessarily informative. But a great guy, but he's also been playing since beta, and he's streaming every day, like 8 hours, right? He has the same number, and it's true for so many of these PoE content creators. Like, it's very hard to beat, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with all the knowledge they gained during that time
Yeah.
too. Like someone can ask them a question and they can just answer it instantly. For me, I'd be like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
let me go Google it. Let me go to the passive tree. Blah. Yeah, it's a lot.
So there is a little bit of competition then.
PoE, oh god, yeah,
I
a little
yeah.
bit.
Just a tiny bit. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's a
In
big
live
game.
streaming, for sure, right?
Hmm.
I think in the live streaming scene, there's a lot of competition there. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great community for live streaming, honestly, because these guys are all like super nice to each
Mhm.
other, and it is an actual community, I feel. But sure, there's competition. It has to be, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
you can
competition
only one.
breeds like pretty much everyone wanting to be better, right? And I think it's a good thing, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to see that too when there's a community going together and all these live streamers, content creators, or whatever the case might be, and you see that they're nice to each other and they're like, they're friendly and they share each other and and so on and so forth. And I think it's great to see because it makes me happy and it makes me want to watch them more and support them. You know what I mean? Because it's just a great, great vibe. So yeah, it's lovely.
Agree. Is there anything else we want to touch upon now before we do the outro? We're all
I
good?
don't think.
Awesome.
We're
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we covered a lot here, actually.
Yeah,
So,
it was. Yeah, questions popping up left and right
I
here.
know,
It's
yeah.
great. Oh yeah, for sure. So my Discord server is /loot_repeat, and it's basically a community for all the action RPGs and hack and slash. And it will probably be linked somewhere in the description, perhaps.
Awesome. Yeah, and
Hopefully.
all of your guys' channels as well will be linked down below. And if you have Twitch
Yeah.
channels or anything like that, we can put that there too. Share your
Yeah.
guys' content, because yeah, you guys are all pretty great content creators. Tell you put a lot of
Yeah,
work into it. You're pretty passionate.
For sure, 100%. I agree.
Awesome.
Well, thanks to Robin and Maddie for fostering this. I just checked, and it's been coming up on 2 months that we've been planning this. So thank you guys for putting in the work, and Robin for having such a great community. The /loot repeat Discord actually is a great community, and they have a lot of
Agreed.
events that are really fun. If you like the genre, you should definitely join us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely, I'd echo that 1000%. It hasn't been one of those Discord servers that you go through and you join so many and you have to kind of make some tough decisions to leave them. But the /loot_repeat one is on my permanent pinned list on the very top. That
Thank you.
there's just so much value you get out of it, and like you said, the community is awesome and the events are really great. So what you've put together is truly a special place, and then it's awesome. I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I actually quite regularly go there to get advice on, say, like a build that I'm making, or like how is this game doing currently, stuff like that. Yeah, it's nice to have all the games on there on the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going good so far.
Awesome.
And thank you so much for being part of it as well, actually, because I've been trying to get in touch with a lot of people, to share them as well and support them like I do with you guys, because I know I share you guys around as well when people asking questions, because I know that, Vulkan is good with this. Here you go, here's a video on this, or here's a good content creator for this. So I know it's great to have a community together where we can just, help each other out. It's lovely to see, really. So.
Yeah, thanks all you guys for coming on. I know live pretty busy lives, different time zones and everything. It's been pretty awesome talking to you guys. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
No problem.
Yeah,
Thank you for the invite.
It's been really great.
Awesome. Yeah, have a great day, guys. And also I want to talk about like plans for the future episodes, because we're thinking of maybe getting specific content creators for specific games on in the future. That's pretty exciting. Anything you want to add, Robin, before we leave?
No, I think we covered everything, and you said the last thing that I wanted to say as well. So
Okay,
it's been
awesome.
great.
Awesome. Yeah. So once again, link down in the description for all these creators and for the Discord as well. And yeah, have a great day, guys. We'll see you later.
Yeah, have a good one.